Both men and women now perform these occupations and study these fields.
It's interesting to note that here the clergy is listed along with other less intellectually lofty fields or occupations such as craftsmen and farming as containing one type of occupational knowledge. A part of being a clergyman is on the facts and skill level, accessible to all minds to learn, both male and female. True to Love 164 describes moral wisdom as all moral virtues which have regard to the way they live and which enter into their manner of life, including spiritual virtues, which spring from love toward God and love for the neighbor. The list of examples includes temperance, sobriety, integrity, kindliness, friendliness, modesty, honesty, helpfulness, courteousness, diligence, industriousness, skillfulness, electricity, generosity, liberality, magnanimity, energy, courage, and prudence.
Since these attributes in men have to do with wisdom that's applied to life, they are attributes that wives and women are especially interested in uniting with. Women will love these attributes in men regardless of the men's level of intellectual wisdom. Women's greater interest in men's moral wisdom than in their intellectual wisdom explains the following.
A wife's union with her husband's intellectual wisdom exists inwardly, less obviously, because this wisdom is characteristic of the intellect of men, and it ascends into a light in which women are not. That is why women do not speak from it, but in gatherings of men, where matters like this are being discussed, they keep silent and only listen.
Today, women were not educated for or engaged in occupations outside of the home, so they would have had no ability to take part in occupational discussions. Today, women have access to most kinds of occupational education and experience. They have much more ability to engage intelligently in conversations about occupational wisdom. However, we suggest that the higher light into which men can raise their intellects is a place where there is intellectual thought that is not yet joined to any useful application. And take note, the term higher light is used in a number of other places in the writings in a way that is not gender-specific, such as in Divine Love and Wisdom 256.
Discussion based on male-specific higher light, intellectual thought not yet applied to useful application, is not going to engage women the way discussion about things that are applied and things to do with ethics.
Women will most likely keep silent and only listen if they can't find any application or ethics to connect with. They may keep silent and listen until they can find something to grab onto, to bring by their own input into an area of ethics or useful application. Then the less obvious union with the intellectual wisdom turns into the more obvious union with the men's moral wisdom.
When both female and male intellects are engaged in useful application of information, there is an obvious union and more active give and take in discussions. Again, we suggest the male-specific higher light is a kind of intellectual thought that is not yet joined at useful application. This can perhaps be seen in male ability to engage in figuring out how to do something just for the enjoyment of it, even if when he doesn't have a practical application in mind for this ability. From this ability have come many inventions in which the inventor has had to delve into a kind of thinking that went beyond useful application.
We can see how this can be a light in which women are not, because women are created to always be connecting and applying. There's some way that they cannot engage in a kind of thinking that has nothing to do with application or connection. This does not mean that women don't have an ability to acquire and use knowledge that is equal to men's. It seems to mean that there is a way of engaging in knowledge, detached from connection and application, that is so contrary to the makeup of a woman that she just can't go there.
On the flip side, we suggest that the higher heat in this, the female ability to feel something is important, even if they cannot yet put it into words as to why it's important or give a rational explanation. Due to Love 165 points out that
a wife recognizes moral virtues in her husband better than he recognizes them in himself.
If women respect and value the ability for higher light in men, they can patiently look for the ways to help draw concepts that are detached from application into a realm where the concepts can be connected with usefulness. And if men respect and value the ability for higher heat in women, They can patiently recognize that a woman is feeling something important and help her draw that feeling into a realm where words and explanations can give the feeling greater clarity.
Male-specific higher light does not mean smarter or better intellects. Both men and women have equally capable intellects. Higher light and higher heat just mean complementary abilities that can best be utilized when valued and supported by the opposite gender.
In conclusion, what is a priest's primary job but to teach truth in order to lead to the good of life? The truth that is studied and taught must connect with the priest's congregation, and it must be applied to life. So it does not require the kind of understanding alone mental ability that only men have. It is the area of wisdom, moral wisdom, which includes spiritual virtues that women are drawn to and love.
Moral wisdom is an area common to men and women. Women know moral wisdom very well and can lead us to good spiritual lives if we allow them to work in the area of wisdom they are most joined to. These numbers have been used in arguments against women priests, but we believe the numbers actually show the type of wisdom women are most closely attuned to, one that of moral and spiritual virtues, which is the focus of religion.
Conjugal Love 174 and 175.
Conjugal Love 174 and 175 on the surface might be used in an argument against women priests by saying women do not have the judgment to perform the duties of a priest, nor the ability to raise their minds that priests need to have. It has been argued that if women were priests, they would need to go to men for advice instead of directly going to the Word for enlightenment. The direct, applicable quotes are,
We say that a wife cannot enter into the duties appropriate to her husband, or conversely a husband into the duties appropriate to his wife, because they differ, like wisdom and its accompanying love.
Many people believe that women can perform the duties of men if only they are introduced into them from early age in the way that boys are. However, women can be introduced into the exercises of these duties, but not into the judgment on which the proper performance of these duties inwardly depends. Therefore, those women who are introduced into the duties of men in matters of judgment are bound to go to men for advice, and then, from the men's recommendations, if they are their own mistresses, they choose what accords with their love.
Some people also suppose that women can raise the sight of their understandings into the same realm of light that men can and see things on the same high level. They have been persuaded of this opinion by what some educated female poets have written. But when the works of these female poets were examined in their presence in the spiritual world, they were found to be works not of judgment and wisdom, but of cleverness and a facility in the use of language.
The doctrinal purpose of Conjugal Love 174 and 175 is to say that wives and husbands have different duties, and that they cannot perform each other's duties appropriately. This doctrinal purpose is found in the title of Conjugal Love 174, which is the topic being addressed in these two numbers.
A husband has duties appropriate to him, and a wife has duties appropriate to her, and a wife cannot enter into duties appropriate to her husband, or a husband into duties appropriate to his wife, and perform them properly. There is no need to illustrate these duties by recounting them, for these are many and various in nature. Moreover, everyone knows how to divide them into their categories according to their general and specific kinds, provided he directs his mind to seeing the differences between them.
Some of these differences in duties are obvious. For example, only women can nurse babies. But in modern times, dividing these categories up is no longer so easy. Women have now been accepted into many roles that were historically performed by men, such as teaching at universities. Also, many jobs that in Swedenborg's day would have been performed by a single man, such as a blacksmith, have become enlarged into mass production companies with many departments full of workers, both male and female.
Yet we do know that men and women have unique contributions. We know from modern studies that when a father is missing from a family, there are unmet needs by both sons and daughters, and the same when mothers are missing. We know that the brains of men and women function in unique ways, with women's brains operating in many areas simultaneously, while men's brains function in ways that is more localized and concentrated.
We can see that at some level, wives and women typically want to feed and nurture in whatever they take part in, and husbands and men want to provide for and protect. So we know that men and women have different capabilities and drives, but it does not seem useful to categorize or set policy to guide or enforce this from the outside. Each gender will bring unique, innate qualities to whatever duty or job they perform.
To Love 174, Swedenborg was not guided to list particular masculine and feminine duties, because pinning down specific external duties was not the point. The doctrinal point of the number is that wives and husbands, women and men, have unique and valuable roles based on their natures. Cultural customs change about who does what job or task, but the thing that doesn't change is that one gender can't fill in for the other on the deepest level.
Women will bring a will, affection, and love-oriented approach to whatever they study, teach, or do, and men can't provide that in the same way. Men bring an understanding, thought, and wisdom-oriented approach to whatever they study, teach, or do, and women can't provide that in the same way. Any occupational area of life will be enriched by having both approaches present and working in harmony, just as a marriage is enriched by both approaches working in full, respectful partnership. And just as in a marriage, a working partnership of men and women in any occupation will become
progressively conjunctive as time goes on.
But is this number saying that women cannot preach? No, it does not say that. And if this were an important point to be made for a new church, it would have been made here. Does it say women cannot have a love for teaching, truth, and leading to the good of life? No, the number is indicating that when they do this, they will do it in a unique and feminine way of performing that job, just as a male priest would do.
Women can do their duties or tasks according to their perception and wisdom, and the list of duties possible for women has grown since the writings were published. In modern society, women do take on roles traditional to men, but these duties can be done with feminine wisdom as well, and when needed, men can be and are consulted in a natural give and take. It's this give and take of how to approach things that will improve our church when women are included as priests.
There may be things to learn from the listed duties in Conjugal Love 176 that reflect particular strengths that women could bring to the use of the clergy. Without enforcing specific roles from the outside, we may find that women priests bring particular strengths to the job that involve same skills that mothers use in caring for babies and younger children.
A mother's job is not just about the soft stuff. It also involves a great deal of tough resilience, clear guidance, attention to what is needed, keeping order, and intense decision-making. Women priests could bring unique and important skills in developing and applying doctrine that nurtures innocence, goodness, and orderly affections in the people that they are leading and working with.
The point of Conjugal Love 174 and 175 is that husbands and wives, men and women in general, have unique roles that the other can't perform. And it's implied that they need each other to find the true wisdom and to form a true church. Conjugal Love 176 emphasizes the value of the mutual aid that husbands and wives can give each other, and this is possible also in any occupation, including the priesthood, in which men and women work together in partnership.
These duties are joined together through the counsel, support, and many other kinds of assistance that two partners give each other. Conjugal Love 90 and 91.
Conjugal Love 90 and 91 on the surface might be used in an argument against women priests by saying women should do domestic tasks rather than occupational tasks. The direct applicable quotes are,
with respect to his employment, most of which are occupational. With respect to her employment, it has to do with works of the hands and are called sewing, needlework, and other names which serve for decoration, for her personal adornment, and for enhancing her beauty. Also that it has to do with various tasks called domestic. Women do these things to become wives.
The doctrinal point of these two numbers is found in the title of Conjugal Love 90, which is the topic being addressed in these two numbers.
In members of the animal kingdom, good's truth, or truth resulting from good, is masculine. In truth's consequent goodness, or good resulting from that truth, is feminine.
What is described in the initial paragraph is that created vessels, members of the animal kingdom, receive the united love and wisdom that flows from the Lord according to their forms. Males receive the truth of wisdom and are born to become intellect-oriented. Then, in the last sentence of this paragraph,
reason can see this from its own sight of various characteristics in the male.
The next paragraph further describes this intellect orientation of men, and the next 4 paragraphs give specific examples of characteristics that are listed to be in support of the main topic or point. The male form is truth resulting from good, wisdom from a love of growing wise. The employments, the behavior, the physique, and the power of insemination are listed to help us see and agree with the point that men are in the love of growing wise.
Due to Love 91 goes on to describe the will orientation of females and how that shows in their disposition, employment, behavior, and figure. It also describes that women are created to love the wisdom of men. Because of this, women are inclined to encourage men to develop genuine wisdom. And thus women act to inspire or bring out the best in men when men decide to value that encouragement.
Conjugal Love 91 talks about domestic duties for wives. In the same way that a wife and mother pays attention in her home to what is needed by the people who live there, women priests could bring a particular interest and awareness about the needs of the people in the church organization. From their feminine concern for connection and application, women priests would bring a particular concentration for making sure that doctrine is reaching people where they are and meeting their needs by being practical and applicable to life. The same feminine skills depicted mostly in physical needlework and decorative handcrafts in Swedenborg's day can nowadays be applied to the way women love to weave doctrinal ideas together into a cohesive picture that brings out the beauty of the teachings.
To focus on listed characteristics written down in Swedenborg's day is to make policy and doctrine from examples, which can change over time rather than principles or main points. Women's occupations have changed, and this is acceptable and to be expected. The world has changed as a result of the Second Coming. In all her modern occupations, including the occupation of ordained minister, a woman will bring her innate and valuable will orientation.
Conjugal Love 168.
Conjugal Love 168, on the surface, might be used in an argument against women priests by saying women are tied to their wills and can't see in a higher light needed for being a priest. The direct applicable quotes are,
The intellect also perceives those matters which transcend the body and the world. It's being the nature of intellectual and spiritual sight to move in that direction, while love does not perceive beyond what it feels. When it does, its perception draws on its union with the intellect of a man.